Are your turnouts failing to turn out for you? Are your points just completely missing the point? One of the things that people new to the hobby always do find a little bit tricky is things like getting your points wired up to allow you to change them remotely via switches. A lot of people perhaps feel daunted by that when they first come into the hobby, but in today's video I'm going to show you how to get all of this wired up just like you see here, quickly, easily, and with no need to solder everything. There's just a few great products already on the market that really do make this a simple task, and it'll add a great deal of reliability to your trains running, but also allow you to build up scenery with confidence, such as ballasting and more, without having to worry about your points or turnouts being able to do this first time every time. As we go through today's video, if you like what you see, do hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel to be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up, and feel free to leave a comment down below. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
The Peco points all come with a spring installed from new, and this gives a very positive switching which keeps the blades at either one side or the other when the point is changed, and these are really important for when you're using solenoid motors because they're not self-latching, so the point will do that for you. The point motor that I'm going to show today is a Peco PL10. These are really quite common, very readily available, and pretty bulletproof reliable. They also have the benefit that they're designed from the outset to be fully compatible with the Peco points, and it doesn't matter whether you're using 00, HO or even 009 and N gauge. Each of the points have these little tabs that you can just see, and also the hole in the center of the tie bar ready to accept the point motor. I've already bent down the central ones on this, but if you're using say N gauge or 009 points, you'll make use of the central mounting. On the side of the point you'll see these tabs, there's 4 of them, and these are connections to each side of the solenoid windings, and these create a magnetic field when a current is passed through them, and that in turn draws the metal core to one side or the other. With the Peco PL10 point motors, the first thing we need to do is actually decide where they're going to be, and then we can cut out in the baseboard a hole that these will sit underneath the point and allow access from underneath. This is remarkably easy. This is a scale model scenery MDF laser cut baseboard, and they're really common, and all you need to do is make sure that you've got the point where you want it in your track plan. It's always advisable to actually put together your entire track plan first, make sure you're happy with the positioning of points and such like, and then you can just mark around the edges here with a pencil, and then when we remove that you can see a nice outline, and this is where we're going to need to cut out. It's really easy to actually do this with a box cutter type knife, and these you can actually use to cut through MDF with greatest of ease, and you can also use these to cut through plywood as well. If you're using fairly thin up to say 6mm, then with a bit of effort and a sharp blade it's possible to actually quite neatly cut away on that too. If you prefer to, you can always drill a hole with a drill bit in each of the corners and then use an electric jigsaw to cut away the rest. Just make sure that underneath you don't have any baseboard cross members, otherwise you might end up cutting into them. Here I've already cut out a recess ready to take the point motor. I did this with my box cutter knife and just made sure that I measured as I went. And you can see now, point motor just about ready to go in. It just needs to be widened a little bit more. So all I'm going to do is very carefully use the sharp blade and just elongate the hole just enough to be able to get the point motor through. And you can see just how easily the knife allowed us to cut into the MDF and make a really neat hole. And you can see this point motor now fits reasonably snugly in the hole. The next step is to then attach the point motor to the point. There are 4 tabs, and this is the same whether it's in 00, HO, 009 or N gauge. Just look out for the tabs, and you've got 6 tabs on your point motor, and 4 of those 6 will line up. You can bend the 2 unused tabs out of the way and just gently wiggle these through. Also make sure that the central pin of the motor is lining up with the hole through the tie bar. Once you're in, you can see that it's easy to flick the point across from underneath. To secure the point motor so it doesn't just fall back out, what I like to do is with a pair of needle nose pliers, grasp hold of the protruding piece and just twist it by a few degrees. You don't need to twist it too far. If you try and turn it anything more than a few degrees, you run the risk of the metal fatiguing and snapping off. Just that little bend is enough, and now that point motor is nice and secure on the underside there. PL10 point motor now fits within this hole, and the point is flush where we want it in the track plan. The next product that I want to use is the Peco PL34 point motor harness, and these are designed specifically for using with the PL10 and PL10E type point motors, and these allow a solder-free installation. You remember these tabs that I pointed out before? We've got 2 on each side. For wiring up the PL34 to the PL10, just need to find the spade connectors, and first up we're going to use the green. This is the common return, and you'll see that there's an extra wire looped together. The common return off both coils we just loop together and they go back to one terminal. You can see they just positively slide onto the tabs that are on the motor. Then have a red and a black wire. Again, these have got the spade connectors on, and these just go onto each of the other 2 tabs. They're a nice positive fit. If they feel a little bit loose, then you can always just squeeze them with a pair of pliers once they're on, like this. Don't over squeeze them because you will distort the metal. These wires can be just fed in through the hole, but one of the things that I like to do is just to neaten things up and keep these wires together. You can actually plait them, and this serves a dual purpose, that it stops constructive and destructive interference as the magnetic field is created in the wires. Another benefit is that when you're doing fault finding underneath, all the wires are neatly kept together for each of your points. And there we've got a nice neat bundle, and these wires will now stay together. If you need to extend these wires, you can use these chop blocks. They're widely sold, either from model shops or even DIY shops sell them too. These allow wires to be extended without needing to solder anything. Today's video is sponsored by TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for finding all of the models featured today at the best possible price at the link in the description. TMC also offers custom weathering and renumbering to any model, be it brand new or pre-owned. Check out their full pre-owned listings too, where you can be assured of quality as every item is screened and graded by professional staff. TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for all aspects of modelling. Fitting the point motor, I'm just going to drop the wires down through to the under baseboard. Make sure that none of the wires are snagged, and I'm just going to drop that in. Now that we're happy, we can reassemble any track either side of the point and secure that down before we move on to the next step. You can run this as far or as near as you need them for controlling your point, but you're going to need a switch, and I prefer also to use a CDU, that's a capacitor discharge unit, because that protects the point motor. If you connect these direct to the 16 volt AC supply via your switch, then it will work, but it is possible to accidentally burn out the coils, and it won't have the oomph and the throw which is often needed to make a nice positive contact. I'm going to be using a GaugeMaster Model D controller as my power source, but really all you need is the 16 volt AC output on the back. This can be connected to as many or as few points as you're actually wiring up. They'll all take their power, charge their CDU, and unless you're trying to actually change every single point at the same time, then it's not a problem. It's not going to overload this. As far as the switch and the CDU are concerned, I quite like these all-in-one units. This here from Traintech, the PMS3. It's got a nice positive switch action. It also has a pair of LEDs that you can use to be able to show you which way a point is set. It's particularly useful for hidden fiddle yards or a point that can't be readily seen from your controlling area. We've also got a bezel on here which allows this to be mounted into a front panel for a really nice neat installation. It includes a CDU integrated into the board, and that means that every point you're switching has its own dedicated CDU, so if you're setting a number of routes, then you don't have to wait for the CDU to charge each time. We're going to power this from that 16 volt AC socket on the back of the GaugeMaster Model D controller. And then the wires that are coming from the point, these are going into these terminals here. The green is always the common, that's the center one. And it doesn't actually matter which one of the other two terminals, the black and the red, go into, as long as each of them goes into a different terminal. If you find that your point changes in the opposite direction from what's convenient to you, then you can swap over the black and red wires, and that will change the direction that your point throws when you push the switch. Wiring is really easy using the screw terminals, so I'm going to use a length of wire here. I'm going to feed them in underneath on the GaugeMaster controller, push it all the way in, make sure there's no stray pieces of wire that could cause a short, and then just screw down the terminal. And again, let's repeat that for the other wire, and then screw that down. The other end of these can be fed on to the power inputs on your PMS3 units. Just loosen out the terminals and put the wires in. Again, this makes a really nice positive connection. If you have multiple PMS3 type units, or indeed multiple switches, then you can daisy chain these wires on to all the other units. Once we've got that into place, the next step is to wire in the point. Just make sure all of the terminals are unscrewed all the way out, just makes your life easier. Then taking the end of the PL34 harness, you want the green to the center, tighten that up, black to one side and the red to the other. And that's completed our circuit. All that I've got left to do now is plug in my controller, and then we can test the whole installation. So it's really just a case of flicking the switch and the point changes. It's a lovely positive action. Back the other way and back again. We've got little LEDs on here which tell us on our control panel which way the point is set. In this instance they match up nicely, But if they were, say, the other way round and that was inconvenient for your installation, then it's just really easy to swap over the black and the red wires. You can either do them on this end or indeed slide off those spade connectors on the point motor itself and swap them round there. It doesn't matter. Both will have exactly the same effect. Once you're happy with this installation, you can move on to the next point. If you're feeling a little bit less confident about cutting holes in your baseboard, or indeed if that isn't practical, then Peco also sell a PL11 point motor which mounts above the baseboard at the side. This also includes an inbuilt harness, but if it's not long enough, again, it's back to the chock blocks and some extra wire. You still don't need to solder anything. It is fairly simple, but for a lot of people, they can be just a little bit more difficult to line up properly and then screw in. But they are available as an option, as an alternative to the PL10 point motor. I hope this video has been really helpful to you, showing you just how quick and easy it is to wire up solenoid turnout motors. With this simple method, there's no soldering whatsoever, and you get a nice positive throw of your point or turnout first time, every time. You can run wires as long as you like around your layout. Just buy additional wire, color coded, just to keep things nice and simple. And with the chock blocks, you can actually run wires a really long distance to your points or turnouts and still be able to change them over. If you really have enjoyed this video, if you found it informative, please do give a like, and also I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below, and subscribe if you've not already done so. It's a great way of keeping up to date with new videos as and when they go out. But from me, here at Weir Yard, you take great care of yourself, happy modelling, and hopefully we'll see some wired up points on your layout in no time at all. We've got some links down below which take you to TMC, the Model Centre. These are affiliate links, and the idea is to help you out with easy access to the products that are featured today. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
Today's video is sponsored by TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for finding all of the models featured today at the best possible price at the link in the description. TMC also offers custom weathering and renumbering to any model, be it brand new or pre-owned. Check out their full pre-owned listings too, where you can be assured of quality as every item is screened and graded by professional staff. TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for all aspects of modelling. I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.